Here, Toby Fountain, the Nature Recovery Officer for Herefordshire Wildlife Trust, has a very important job to do.
We're at the traditional orchard section of Bodnam Lake Nature Reserve. It's famous for the wetland, where you can see things like otters and wetland birds, but we've also got arguably Herefordshire's flagship habitat, which is traditional orchard. It's only really been recognised in the last 20 years or so that orchards, despite being man-made and despite being agricultural, are in fact one of the most biodiverse habitats we have in Britain. So I'm here today to see if this lovely traditional orchard here meets the standard to be a protected site for wildlife. So this fallen fruit to some people might look like a waste, but this is one of the reasons why orchards, unlike most habitats, are actually really vibrant and come alive this time of year, because this is a fantastic food source for a variety of wildlife.
Insects like bees and butterflies feed on the rotting fruit, which in turn attracts mammals and birds.
So this is very much a period of transition in terms of birds. We've got some of the iconic breeding species associated with orchard, like redstarts. One of my favourite birds, I think possibly the most beautiful songbird in Britain, lovely red tail, black face mask, ashy grey head. And if I had to name a county bird of Herefordshire, that would be the one. But coming in, a new cast of species is arriving from colder places. So we're getting fieldfare and redwing, which are two types of thrush, which love to feed on this rotting fruit. Over the winter, a fantastic food source. That's actually quite a rare butterfly. One second. I'm not actually joking. So this is a clouded yellow. This is a migratory butterfly. First one I've seen this year, actually.
Typically, clouded yellows first appear in the UK each year around May.
Butterflies are quite common in orchards at this time of year. They're stocking up on the sugar from these fallen fruit. So things like red admirals, peacocks, and a lovely clouded yellow. I actually don't remember a time where I wasn't obsessed with nature. It all began really in my childhood garden and just being stood by a buddleia bush watching all the peacocks and red admirals. What a magical little experience, you know. Even those little experiences in your garden can really go a long way. Ooh. Sparrowhawk, death on wings. This is probably the most exciting and interesting feature of this habitat, and this orchard has an abundance of it, and that is standing deadwood. And the reason why standing deadwood is so exceptional for wildlife is that it's exploited by wood-boring invertebrates. You can see the tunnels of what are probably beetle larvae in the wood. Now, deadwood is much softer and therefore more accessible to animals that feed on wood-boring invertebrates. And one of these is what I think is the most interesting and mysterious breeding bird in Britain, and that is the lesser-spotted woodpecker. I've only ever seen 3 in my life, and I was absolutely shocked the first time I saw one. They are teeny tiny, the size of a sparrow, much smaller than the common great-spotted woodpecker. And because of their tiny size, they are less able to bore into harder live wood and therefore need an abundance of this soft, crumbly deadwood where they can access the wood-boring invertebrate food source that they need. So this is a beetle larvae which is living inside the tree, feeding on decaying organic matter, which is very inaccessible to most birds, which is why woodpeckers have evolved this ingenious niche to exploit this very, very valuable food source. So as of today, on the basis of the survey that I've conducted and the evidence I've collected, this site will officially be a separate traditional orchard local wildlife site. Despite the fact that it's part of an existing nature reserve, this will recognise the unique ecological attributes that this special habitat provides. It obliges that whoever owns this orchard in the future has to maintain it as this special habitat and that it cannot be built on. So this will hopefully ensure the integrity and character of this fantastic habitat. I feel immensely privileged to be doing this for a living because I feel like on a small level I'm securing the future of some extremely important habitats. And I hope that people like the 4-year-old self that I used to be, who was curious and naive and wanted to know everything about the natural world, can come to places like this and recognise why they're so valuable, why they're so interesting for many, many years to come.